Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I thought Romo and Nantz did have a good game. It's funny. They're going to move the deck chairs. I think the CBS pregame show, there wasn't a memorable moment. They're all nice guys, but it doesn't have a lot of oomph to me. It's kind of, Fox has had that crew. It's like TNT basketball. It's just better than ESPN's. What are you going to say? It's Barkley, it's Shaq, it's Kenny, it's Ernie. I think the Fox crew's been doing it. It's a little older in the tooth, but it's just good. It's been good for a long time. It's smartly produced. Bill Richards. It's great pieces, funny enough. And the CBS crew's okay to me. NBC at night, very okay to me.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Not you.
But I thought Romo and Nantz were pretty good. I think Nantz is great. And I think, Tony is just kind of a squirrely, fun personality. Tony's the kind of guy that if you went out golfing with him, you'd have a ball. He'd tell you a million stories. And sometimes he can be a little bit loose. But I thought he did. I thought it was one of Romo's better broadcasts. I thought he started calling things very quickly. One of the things he kept saying is, he'd be like, oh, this drive hurts. Or he kept saying, I thought it was really smart. He go, okay, that whatever you just saw there, that was a designed Shanahan play. He was calling that throughout the game. He would give the coach credit, not just the player. And that's important. There's a distinction there that we always give the quarterback credit. And he would say at the end, he's like, that's an Andy Reid play. Mahomes is great. That's an Andy Reid play. So what is your take? I think Nantz and Romo are fine. I do think once he signed that $17 million a year contract, he became a target. And once you're a target, it's hard.
I think he got pigeonholed in the lane if he calls the plays, which is not a sustainable thing to do. And I think it is hard to be the goofier guy if you're not a little older. John Madden, when he started calling games, by the time I was a kid, was in his 50s, right, or 60s. Gruden was already this massive personality by the time he got the booth. When I think about Troy Aikman, I think a guy, he'll crush some people. Troy Aikman's kind of an old school bat. He has that definitive lane. People kind of like that because a lot of announcers, the former players, they won't really be critical. Troy has no problem doing that. That's why I enjoy that. Yeah. Collinsworth is just one of those unique guys that I don't remember a play he ever made because by the time he was already retired by the time I was probably 10, but he's just good. And you watch Tony sometimes, he gets loosey-goosey. Not really my style because he's never going to be that critical on moments where it's like, okay, Tony. But if you're not going to do that, you have to do something else. Yes. And he kind of lost his fastball once he stopped doing the plays and people thought he was starting getting lazy because what's he doing? He's never going, well, that's a terrible call when it obviously is. I think most people that sit on their couch now, we've all watched a lot of football. Some stuff's pretty obvious. Yeah. And when the announcers refuse because they're everybody's friends, they know these coaches, it's not that enjoyable, right? Why does Colin Cowherd have success? You're opinionated. You see something, you say it. And I think Tony was very hesitant to do that. In fairness to Peyton Manning, he's like, listen, I don't want to be critical. So he doesn't call the games, really. He just does the thing with Eli. But if you're going to sit in that chair, if you're going to be Tom, it's going to be hard. Tom, people are going to want to hear you say, that's a terrible play call. Because we watched you play, and we know that's your style. Like, you get mad. And Peyton does it actually sometimes, too, and he immediately kind of goes viral because people like that. And I think Tony's always really struggled with that. Even today, tries to play nice with both guys. Like, Jim, I think you should go for it here. Like, just pick a lane, Tony. It's okay if you're wrong. But I think he's always he's always very hesitant, it feels like, to offend the coach because he knows these guys well. They all text him. He's buddies with them. And that to me is my criticism. He just won't say stuff when it's pretty obvious sometimes. I don't care about the play calls. I like having a little fun, whatever. But just say, that was a terrible freaking call, Jim. That cannot happen in that situation. He's just never going to. Or Troy, I would say Troy, especially once Tony got a lot of money, has no problem laying the law down. And people enjoy that.
Yeah. So I think, to me, if I had to pick a play, the play of the game to me, it's the third quarter, the San Francisco fumble punt, which allows Mahomes next play touchdown, 13-10. I felt like until that point, I thought San Francisco not only had the physical momentum, the emotional momentum, the game. I thought they were the better team. I did think that was the moment in the game, and San Francisco came back. But I did think that put pressure on Purdy. That put pressure on Shannon. Okay, now you trail Mahomes. Now they responded very well, but to me, it was sort of a defining play. It was like you looked up and went, Kansas City leads. They're getting outplayed significantly. And in that moment, I thought, okay, they're going to win this game. They're going to figure out a way to do it. That's my defining moment of the game, third quarter. Is there one for you?
I would say there were multiple moments where the Niners had a chance to basically hold them to field goals and or super long field goals, and Andy and Mahomes dialed up the perfect play, and they got a 20-yard gain to Kelce across the middle. They got that long play to Rice. And when I think this season, when it comes to Andy and Mahomes, was not about the 70-yard bombs, was not really about the highlight package that will define Mahomes' early career. It was about doing the stuff Tom Brady and Peyton Manning did, that Joe Montana did, that Troy Aikman did, that ultimately wins you games. This, to me, this defining stretch, but specifically today, was about kind of the boring cliche winning football. And it was, we know you're bringing the house here. We're going one-on-one coverage with a linebacker that's not going to be able to cover, and we're going to get Kelce in space. He's going to get a big gain. And it's going to be the momentum shift of that play on 3rd and 7, where Butker might have to kick a 48-yard field goal. Now we're 1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. And you're just like, oh, my God, they're going to win the game. And they did that multiple times a day in the fourth quarter and obviously in overtime. I feel like they did it multiple times in overtime. Well, big Rice first down, a big Mahomes run that was just, not every play with Michael Jordan were fadeaway game-winning jumpers. There was just a lot of winning basketball. Some of Tiger's stuff was just, he got up and down when he had to on hole 14 when no one was paying attention, that most guys bogey. And they did stuff like that today, which is the highest level of football. Right, Brett Favre, all the great players, the physical guys can make the spectacular play. Steph Curry the other night, but he does so much other stuff that's winning. And today, I thought Mahomes and Andy were just so dialed in when it mattered the most. What a special. Listen, I've known Andy now 15 years. What a great moment for him. Back-to-back Super Bowls. Not many guys in the history of the league. And like I said, I think this is one of the great 5-6 year runs in my lifetime of just a team. Do it multiple different ways. Like, remember some of those Yankee teams, right, in the late 90s, they weren't all the same. When you get more credit when you do it like that, right? And I think today was, this was their grittiest, toughest, smartest, and just refusing to kind of wilt and just finding a way, almost digging it out of the dirt. They didn't really have to do that earlier on, right?
That's right.
And now they had to, and now I don't think they'll ever be a human. They're not going to win every Super Bowl, but no one's ever putting money on the other team against these guys ever again.
Yeah,
no chance.
And I think we said it earlier. The great teams win it when you think, oh, I said it all year. I said, this is their pivot year. Stage 1 of the dynasty is Mahomes isn't making any money. Stage 2 is, we got to make some cuts. Yeah. And last year I thought, they're just too young on defense. And this year I'm like, they're just not good enough at wide receiver. And they won. This 2-year stretch has got to be discouraging because Baltimore's stacked and San Francisco's stacked and Philadelphia is stacked. And you're like, oh, shit. These are the pivot years. So, all right, John Middlekauff, former scout, 3 and out, good hour 15.
What a Super Bowl.
Oh, so good. So good. So now we talked about it for a couple days. Then there's March heats up. It's NFL free agency. I don't think Chris Jones will get paid. San Francisco doesn't have a ton of needs. Hard to pay 2 linebackers. They probably have to get another corner. They also have to start examining. I think they drafted a tight end last year. They got to get another tight end in there. I think you made a good point earlier. Kittle's a great player, but the gap between Kelce and Kittle in big games, Jesus. Travis, really, the 2 best big game tight ends I've ever seen, Gronk and Kelce. This was a great playoff run for Travis Kelce.
I'd say the highlight of the Niners week now after losing this game is Trent Williams said earlier that win or lose this game, he still got a couple years in. He likes playing for the Niners and Kyle. So that's one positive. Trent is still pretty damn, even though he had a couple offsides, but when you're that good, you can live with a couple offsides. So the big guy's not going anywhere, but he's getting older. You're not going to have him forever.
Yep. All right, John. That was fun.
That was. You let me know. I'm here. You want to talk some football? We got combine in a couple weeks. I think I might go. It's going to be a big combine. Great. A lot of stuff going on.
All right, I'll tell our management to send your shit to Indy.
I'll be there
in a Marriott hotel room somewhere. Good seeing you, buddy.
See you soon.